Welcome to Raw Talent with your host, Miss Tink. Welcome to Raw Talent. Welcome to Raw Talent with your host, Miss Tink. Welcome to Raw Talent. Who is Richard Lundy?
I'm a complicated person, but the reality is I'm the dog man. You know, I consider myself in my happy place when I'm dealing with dogs and dealing with people. But I'm a local dog trainer. You know, I try to reach out to folks to make the dog world, understandable. You know what I'm saying, from a realistic perspective, where I ain't talking down to people, but trying to help people understand how to communicate with their dog and be at peace. A lot of folks see well trained dogs and kind of can't recognize that's the end result of a long process. So I'm here to kind of help bridge people to understand that process. So.
Okay. So you say you work in dog training and you're also a teacher, correct?
Yeah.
So how does those two worlds collide?
Honestly, man, it's a matter of patience. And really recognizing your energy along with your intent. Sometimes we want to get instant results, even ranging from dealing with kids.
Sure.
Or dealing with dogs, and I'm here to kind of help people understand how to do a mix of both. From my world, from dealing with kids in the middle school capacity, I'm able to understand how people think and how people learn. So going through that process of being a teacher, I try to use my understanding of teaching and learning and recognizing people's learning styles and use that in the dog world and kind of help people connect, how to see how do my dog learn? How do I teach my dog to learn? How do I make it a pleasurable experience? We always consider our dogs a extended member of our family, but the reality is it's not the human love and affection they're looking for. It's more that guidance and that leadership that they need, from a human to dog perspective. So I'm here to connect those dots.
So how did you grasp that understanding? Like, did you just your love for dogs got you there, or was it something significant?
That's a great question. Honestly, when I was in college, man, me getting my own first dog as an adult, that was the real, light bulb moment for recognizing the priority for training. My first dog was a Doberman, a good old Doberman pinscher from back in the day, like 15 years ago. But just having a Doberman, being a black man, and then recognizing being in an apartment at the time, there was a lot of things striked against me. So I needed to kind of prove not only to society but to myself that I could handle a dog. Mm-hmm. So that journey of figuring out how to train my dog to be a good dog, it sparked a passion. Like I've always had a joy and a love for dogs, but putting the guidance to that love, what I'm saying, kind of gave me some real direction. So,
is that a frustrating process? Because you say it's a long process. So is it frustrating?
It has its moments. You know what I'm saying? It's an opportunity to be frustrated. Nothing happens overnight. It's not a lot of instant gratification in today's society, but that's the joy of working with a dog, to see the little gains where the dog used to do this and now he's doing this better, these little small wins as we call them. But I try not to focus on the frustration because, like I said, dogs are energy-based creatures, so the frustration you might have from dealing with your dog, you don't want to pass that down to the dog. So I try to help folks understand how to channel that frustration and kind of redirect the dog to do something correct. So, in the dog world in particular, we try not to focus on the frustration, man. Even with my own dog, my own personal situations. My little young Doberman, she can get a little challenging, but looking at my 12-year-old Doberman, I get an opportunity to recognize the end result. So push through, stay patient, stay consistent.
So what is the average time that it would take to train a dog? And yeah, we'll start there. What's the average time it would take?
So to each his own. It's a little different, what I'm saying, depending on the breed, the age, and all those different types of categories. But the reality is, you get out in life what you put in, and working with a dog is a real representation of that. You can get a young puppy, 12, 16 weeks old, and teach him all the basic commands in the first week or two, where it's more a matter of not only just teaching it, but applying it, to the dog's life.
Being consistent.
Being consistent. To answer your question, honestly, you can get a dog to learn the basic commands in 3 weeks or so, but a matter of one session at a time. So really breaking it down into small little pieces, regardless of what the dog is able to do, you always moving with what your goals are as a dog owner. See, some people want their dog to be well trained, obedient. But some people just want their dog not to chew up the house and just relax and be a good member. So it really boils down to what's your goals as a dog owner, and then what you're trying to do to get to those goals. Because once your dog learns how to learn, what you teach them is kind of endless. You know what I'm saying?
So they become like toddlers, like sponges.
Boy, I'm talking about sponges, eating sponges. But yes, they take it all in. And like I said, when you make the learning process a fun process, it's a little bit more a pleasurable experience for both the dog owner and the dog. So they look forward to learning something new. And then what you'll learn, we're working with dogs with the repetition of it all. You'll get a dog that just literally going to go through his whole routine of everything he's ever done to earn a treat. Right. Because once again, dogs are energy-based creatures. Whatever you give the energy to, they're going to repeat that behavior. So we got to be aware of what's worth our time of day in the dog world as we interact with our dogs.
So, is it true that you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
You would think that. You would.
I've heard that all my life.
It's such a saying. I mean, you would think that's actually something that will hold true in the dog world, but I've had some clients, with some dogs 6, 7 years old that's always quote unquote done this way, but it really is just a matter of kind of refreshing your approach as a dog owner. So example, if your dog's been pulling you down the leash and on the walks every day for the last 6 years, and then now I come over and we work on leash work, if moving forward you choose to interact with your dog this way now, that is how your dog is responding to that environment now. So at the end of the day, yes, you can teach an old dog new tricks because they want to learn and please you, but you got to make it worth their while. You can't expect a dog to perform and you're doing the same thing yourself. So honestly, even as I speak to you, it's a matter of self-reflection. You know what I'm saying? I have an opportunity to look in the mirror, Michael Jackson, the man in the mirror, to really reflect and see what am I doing wrong or what could I be doing better to better communicate with my dog. Because the dog only does what you allow him to do. You know what I'm saying? Right. So really recognizing, am I allowing the dog to pull me down the street? Am I allowing the dog to burst out the front door? Am I allowing the dog to jump up on the couch, the furniture, the kids, to everything he wants to do? Or am I putting boundaries and controls in place?
So you feel that your educational profession bridges the gap for your dog training profession?
Yeah, I think it does. Because I'm not here to critique other trainers, but I just know with my background being a coach and a teacher, working with little itty bitties up into the older guys, I just have an ability to connect learning style, but then breaking things down to be digestible, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people, even in the dog world, they teach according to the standard of the dog world. But me, I'm teaching according to your personal goals. Example, people in the dog world, we teach heel on the left-hand side, and it means your dog walking in a particular position. But, if you're a lady walking and your strong hand is your right-hand side, and you have your baby on your left hand, we might want to train your dog to the right hand. So it's more a personal preference versus the traditional standard.
Which is what teachers have to do too with kids, because every kid doesn't learn the same.
Got to make the adjustment, and once again, even with that, every dog is different. I start off with the same foundation for everybody to start off with, but then we recognize what makes those particular dogs tick. So it's like, identifying your dog's go-to moves, as they say.
Wow. So you had to learn each breed?
You got to learn a little bit about at least all the different breeds you're going to work with. Every breed I've worked with to this point, I've had some kind of experience or exposure to them. But in the ones that I haven't, I've taken a minute to go do a little bit more research to find out what that breed characteristics are. But you try to expose yourself to as many different styles of dogs as possible. But there's a few rules of thumb, dealing with anybody's dog is going to kind of hold true. Get his nose, you can get his attention. Little basic tricks of the trade, as they say.
Oh, okay. So is it hard to train pits? Because that's like the dog that's known as the aggressive.
They got such a bad rap, man.
Yes, they do.
And
I know they chew up stuff too. They like to chew on wood and stuff, don't they?
It's funny you say that. A dog gonna be a dog. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the breed of dog, it's more us as humans putting them boundaries in place to let the dog know it's okay to be a dog, but be a dog doing this. You know? They got some products out there that kind of help, curve some of those behaviors. But my thing is really like identifying what your dog's into and then getting toys, objects, and devices that's going to kind of get that dog its fix. And to answer your question about pit bulls in general, some of my favorite breeds to work with. To be honest with you, because they're a real loving, loyal breed.
Yes,
When you treat them correct. But and then also just looking at them in the reality of the world we live in, they got such a bad rap. So I take pride in erasing that stigma.
Kind of like the black man.
I'm gonna call a spade, yeah.
Wow.
Being a black man with Dobermans, you know what I'm saying? I'm walking down the street and people cross the street and you don't recognize if it's because it's your presence or it's because of your dog's presence. But I rather take it in as a sign of respect. You know what I'm saying? Respecting my space and respecting my boundaries. But as far as the pit bull thing, love, attention, and direct relationship building is going to give you a long-term relationship. My sister has two beautiful pit bulls, a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old. So, I've seen them, in both ends of the spectrum. A dog that's kind of, been treated not the best, and his situation set him up for failure, as opposed to some of the pit bulls I've dealt with that get the most loving environment where the true great dog in them can come out. You know what I'm saying? So, it's not the breed, it's the deed. It's how you treat the dogs. And my thing, even as you bring up that pit bull thing, I'll speak on it a little bit, but the housing, limitations. People that don't even realize it, but the aggressive breed list, how limiting it is to your ability to get a dog. A lot of us, the culture, we get pit bulls, these dog kind of corsos, not Dobermans as much, but we get a lot of dogs that are going to be real formidable, intimidating and look good for you presentation wise. But you as a young guy, myself buying my first Doberman at 19 years old, you don't realize how many apartments and rental situations you can't have access to. And it's almost like giving them an opportunity, them as in the gatekeeper, whoever they are, giving them an opportunity to control your living situation, and you kind of taking that away from yourself and that level of control. So my tip and advice to folks, prior to getting any aggressive breed dog, not so much about the dog and its capabilities, because any dog is capable of doing some stuff, but really researching your living situation and the stability of your living situation. Because getting a young dog, a nice beautiful pit bull, puppy, or any type of dog, it's a lifetime commitment. A lot of us sometimes
like having a child. You gotta be prepared, right?
True. And it's a touchy subject for me. I've seen a lot of folks get dogs and they can't, then they gotta rehome the dog. You want to rehome your child. So as you bring a kid into the world, you really take on the responsibility, the task of raising a competent young human being, and it's the same concept with a dog. So, if you can get a dog and you're not really into the dog thing all the way, or you don't know for sure, I recommend getting a breed that's not going to be on those aggressive breed lists for young adults. Even for my guys that feel that the breed represents them and their male bravado, I would much rather you get a dog that you will love right, treat right, and just grow up with you and be a part of your family. And then when you become a homeowner or whatever your goals are, you're able to control your dog situation. Then get a dog that you're allowed to get a big dog. You know what I mean? So
I like certain breeds like more adaptable for outside versus inside, or is it just like you can train a dog to be an inside dog? You know what I'm saying?
I could respect that because us, the culture, we grew up, a lot of us, your dog don't come in the house. You know what I'm saying? Your dog stay outside. You're part of the outside situation. But in the new age world, the dog world, we want to have our dog a part of our family. And yes, I feel all dogs can be integrated into your house. But some dogs have some outside requirements that we have to take in consideration. Example, you buy a husky and live in an apartment. You might can have a husky in an apartment, but are you going to give him his requirements to give him his fulfillment? Are you going to run him, jog him, let him go outside and play in the snow and sit on the cold porch when it's ice cold outside? Are you willing to fulfill that dog's natural needs? A person with a greyhound, they're going to run a lot, big breed dogs, kind of corsos and things of that nature, they need to work, they need to have a job to do. So some dogs not just going to be a couch potato. That's where the balance of ownership and relationship with the dog and human come into play, where you recognize what type of dog you're getting and what the requirements of that dog to be happy and fulfilled is. So just really recognizing what you signed up for and giving that dog its outlets. You can convert any dog from an outside dog to an inside dog as far as being able to be a part of your family. But it's not so much the breed. I got some people, like I say, with a 190-pound Great Dane that he lives and got his twin bed downstairs in the little side.
Them things ain't no joking size. I ain't lying.
Hey, that's a big dog. That's a lot of dog.
I guess the takeaway from that is that, like, unlike children, you can't shop at the store and figure out what ingredients you want to put in your children. But with dogs, you have the opportunity to go and research and find out what's the best dog to fit you.
Yes.
You can't say, well, I want a son that has an attitude like this, but you can say, I want this dog because this dog's temperament fits me as a person.
That is so key. You hit the nail on the head right there. That's the joy of us as it's people and dogs. You know what I'm saying? You got the luxury of choosing something that's going to be more aligned with your life and lifestyle. So, yeah, that's a great observation. She knows herself. She like a dog stuff.
I'm a dog lover too.
Yes, ma'am.
So, how did your upbringing aid in your career choice?
It's an outstanding question. So, I mean, I grew up in a household of education. My mom's a teacher for 30 years. My aunt was a teacher for 35 years. Just being around, even my wife's mother.
Your blood.
My wife's mother is a former teacher, so and my wife's a teacher as well. So we just a lot of teacher folks in my family. So the education element has just always been a real highlight in my household and my family. But ironically, my aunt, she had a little small dog, a little Yorkie, growing up, and just really let me.
I want one of those.
Everybody does.
They're so
seasonal dog. But just the reality, man, just having a chance to be a boy, interacting with that dog. I didn't own the dog. I was just a cousin coming up to visit. But I got a chance to really play with the dog, handle the dog, and understand the dog, how they tick. And it just really sparked up a fire and a love for me to not only have pet ownership. I grew up with having my own dog, but it was an outside dog thing. It wasn't my mom old school. She won't have no dog in the house.
Right.
And I didn't even realize how much. You don't know how much you don't know till you know. And I didn't take that dog on walks. I didn't socialize him. He was fighting neighborhood dogs and all this, and it was just like a real wild. No,
the one I was about to say, Jesus.
My personal dog, bro.
Oh, I was about to say the Yorkie.
Yeah, she was my dog.
Okay, she was a thug. Where that dog at?
Yeah. But just the reality of recognizing, my own dog and how I was raising my own dog. It wasn't, I wasn't doing right by him as a kid. So I made sure as an adult, when I got a chance to do it, I would do it the right way. So just like I said, what sparked that love for dogs was my aunt's dog, her personal dog, little Yorkie dog. And then, like I said, just growing up, just having compassion and empathy for another creature. You know what I'm saying? I always loved animals, so there's never a hesitation in that. But, I didn't differentiate dogs as opposed to horses. I liked animals.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. Is dogs your only passion as far as animals go?
And now as an adult, it's way more what I lean to, but just being a new father, I do raise my son, being aware and conscious of animals and respecting them and their right and opportunity to be here.
You like cats too?
Oh my God, I did not. I originally did not like cats, but believe it or not, with my
I don't like them. I think they're too sneaky.
You think? Oh yes, a sneaky little roommate. They're not pets. They're roommates.
I do not like that.
I tolerate cats. I enjoy it. We actually in my household, I actually have 2 cats. Yes, I got 2 cats and 3 dogs.
And how do they get along?
It was a challenge. You know what I'm saying? To start off with the old 2, to learn to accept cats in the house. That was a relationship moment. You know what I'm saying? Because you realize you can take for granted your girlfriend having cats and you having dogs, and then y'all want to live together, and now those have to coexist because you're not going to get rid of your creatures, but you don't want to compromise.
So it's like y'all outside children had to become siblings.
Truly, and it was an overnight process, but it didn't take overnight. It took us a few weeks of smell introduction, calmly letting them sniff between the doors, and then one night it was just like, let's just see what's going to happen, and me having the confidence to know my Doberman and my other dog, Pitbull Sharpei, that they trained enough that they respect my commands, so I can cut them off. I can't tell the cats to not defend themselves, but I can tell my dogs to calmly interact with them and tell them to no or leave it. So that goes to dog training, hence the whole conversation. But I could comfortably lean on my commands with my dogs to be able to integrate them into with interactions with cats. So I felt comfortable that my commands were strong enough with my dogs to say no, leave it, and a few other things that we covered. But having the opportunity to use my commands to make sure that they did not disrespect the cats. And it went smooth, man. Because my cats and dogs have been living together now for almost 8 years. So it's like, they
Did they ever have like altercations?
Literally the first night of them meeting each other, the big boy cat and the boy dog had like a little standoff, and they squared up and hissed and swatted, and That was it. Like, it's only been a problem.
So do you have to train the cats the same way, or I mean, in some regard, or is it way different? Like, I know they're two totally different animals.
Two different species.
You know?
Certain things do apply. You know what I'm saying? Even with me recognizing with dogs, it's oftentimes catching them in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Dogs are a creature of the moment. So if I can't stop you in the act of doing something bad in that exact instant, I gotta let it fly. If it don't apply, let it fly. But dealing with the cat, you know, my wife, she's obviously more cat savvy than myself, but she catch the moment. You know, the cat starting to reach for the couch and starting to get going. Stop. Cat stop and keep it moving now versus just having the couch just torn up. Now, over time, it is what it is. You can buy a new couch.
Right.
But in the moment, we don't allow the cats just to be mischievous and then, cats will be cats. You know, we correct the cats with the same level of correction with the dogs. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, at least discipline them. They're not obedient. But her cats do come on command. She calls their name and they come. So, you know, it's basic stuff. Don't scratch my baby up. That's my main thing with the cats.
I know that's
you
right.
know?
How was that introduction? Between 5 different animals.
Everyone was different. And that's the beauty of like dealing with so many creatures. Us having a young Doberman, she was the one I was more leery of because she was about 1 year old when he was born.
So she was the baby.
Very. She's the baby in the house. She Benjamin Button in the dog world. She got all senior animals in her. She like the young one. But you know, she did good, man. I mean, as far as like making sure everybody smelled, even down my transition before he came home from the hospital, I came home with the blanket and let all the animals smell it. So it wasn't no complete shock to having something new in the house. All our animals are real respectful, you know what I'm saying? Like I can honestly say I'm in a blessed situation and I have animals that feel like they're at the higher level within the household dynamic. They all recognize the boy. They love him a lot now because he's feeding them. You know, he's dropping food off the side of the house.
Of course. At his age, yeah, that definitely is.
He's the number one fan.
A go-to.
But like I said, man, overall, it's just really being aware. I'm not naive, even being a dog trainer, that I don't let my dogs play with my kid unsupervised. You know, I correct anything that I see, you know, going before it escalates. But I've also took the time before he was even here to desensitize my dogs to touch on the ears and interacting with them how a baby would interact. So this is nothing new as he's becoming a toddler to be pulling and tugging on the dog.
So you took that 9 months to prepare them?
It was before 9. This was
before you even decided to have a kid.
Yep. I've been desensitizing my dog because it's not even just always about my kid. Because you know, you got people with single households or individuals that might have a dog and you might never have a plan to have a kid, but your dog will interact with children. So therefore, it's your responsibility to teach that dog how to respond to a child appropriately. So I took that burden early, whether I was going to have a kid or not, and now it all worked out for the fine. So
I know, because growing up, I had a full-bred pit, and he was so beautiful, but he was abused before we got him. So he didn't really interact with males well. The only male he would deal with was my father, but he was like my baby.
Yeah.
So I could walk him off leash. And he was not a threat. He listened, you know what I'm saying, everything. And I didn't sit up there and train him. It was just, I guess, repetition. I didn't look at it as training, but it was just repetition. But when I got pregnant with my son, the way we played, I didn't feel confident playing with him. I didn't think he would hurt me, but I just know, you know, you're pregnant, you get bigger, you balance issues, you know, stuff like that. And then I moved.
Okay.
So our relationship remained the same, but he never liked my son. He never liked him. Like, as soon as my son would enter the house, because my dad kept him in a cage because he didn't interact with other people with him. So we would let him out, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. But as soon as my son would walk in the room, he would crouch down, the hairs on the back of his neck would stand up, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, that's like the energy.
You know, I'm like, oh no.
I'm a bear mode.
You know? So we kept my son and him separated his whole life. I was like, yeah, we can't. No, I'm not even trying to get to the point where I'm going to even try to teach him how to do that, you know.
And you got to go with your instincts on that. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to risk the safety of your child.
You know, but it was so interesting to me because, like, listening to what you're saying, because it's like, if I walked in a room and I didn't acknowledge him, he was mad.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I would literally have to go, if I'm talking to my dad and I don't say hi, like, hi, Foots, how are you? You know what I'm saying? He's like, like, you're not listening to me. Yeah. Like, where's my hello? You know? And I'm like, okay, sir, calm down.
See, I don't know, man. It's energy-based creatures, and it's what we interact with and what we tolerate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a little disfortunate that the dog wasn't able to love your boy, but it's a good judgment call on you to really identify that was an issue. So
yeah,
you don't want to risk it. Never want to risk it.
And then when my son started talking, he like told him like, "Shut up." I'm like, "No, don't tell him shut up. You just sit over here away from him."
Yeah.
As long as he was in the cage, he was good because like he never tried to break out of the cage. You could just see his distaste.
Yeah.
For my son, and I was like, "That's enough for me." you know. So how has COVID affected dog training? And then you are a teacher, so this is a virtual learning.
It's been a challenge.
Roller coaster and a baby and pets and
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Obviously not to look light on COVID at all, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunate situation hit everybody. You know? And most definitely not looking light on anybody that dealt with any loss dealing with COVID. But COVID in all regards, and lack of a better word, been a blessing for me. It's been an opportunity for me to step back and reflect on myself. Step back and reflect on my process and what I'm providing for people in my circle, not just family and friends, but the people you interact with. And I've been coaching, sports for 11 years straight.
What sports you coach?
Formerly high school football, middle school sports, middle school baseball, basketball, track, football, a little bit of everything. But I've been a high school football coach for the last 11 years, and just giving so much of yourself for so long, you kind of don't even realize what have you done for yourself. So without having sports, it was unfortunate for kids that couldn't play sports and stuff this past year. But I got a chance to just step back and look at what do I provide to the world other than coaching, like outside of coaching, and what impact do I want to leave? You know what I'm saying? Got an opportunity to look at that. So to answer the question as far as what COVID did, it allowed me to invest in myself to say, yes, I do know dogs. I know my own dogs. I know everybody in my family who has dogs that allow me to work with them and their dogs. They all well behaved. So, I got a chance to just really look, and even being a new father, man, just having an opportunity to put the dots together to say lineage, to be able to leave my son something that can't nobody deny him, a skill set, a means of income, a means of stress relief, that's for myself personally. But, I know him and his lifestyle. He's going to grow up with a dog household, so why not teach him a joy and a passion of something that's going to be with him forever? As a college student, I knew about dogs then from learning and training my own dog, but I never had an opportunity to earn income from it. So this was my first time during COVID to really step out on faith to really recognize what could I really do with dog training, and the energies and time I was spending in the coaching got redirected to the dog world.
Right.
And like I said, I know obviously I picked up things through the repetition of working with folks over the last 2 years here, but with the concentrated opportunity to really work with people in the COVID environment, then the challenges of dogs during COVID having minimal socialization opportunities, minimal people interactions, I identified the need that if you're going to be at home, working from home, and you're around these pets and these creatures, everyone wants a well-behaved animal.
Yeah, so, especially with people having to be on the phones at home.
You screaming at your dog and barking at kids. We all been there, in different lanes. So COVID just gave me, myself, obviously, but gave society an opportunity to reflect on the impact a dog, would have on your life, but then having a well-balanced dog, how key that is. And I just don't take it lightly how fortunate my household, my family, and people that come to my house are to have, rich dogs trained. They're going to listen to them. They're going to say, go to the back. They're going to go to the back. So I want to be able to spread that, knowledge, love, and, understanding with other folks in a reasonable, connectable way where people can not feel like I'm over-talking their head.
Do you think gifting somebody the ability to be able to understand their dog would give people more of an option to keep them?
Yes, it all boils back down to communication. It's not so much the dog is bad. You see people with rescue dogs, and that dog's past isn't necessarily going to define their future. So whatever that new interaction is with that person, that's what it is with that new owner, that new household. So I know for a fact if people were able to communicate with their dog and be at peace with their dog, it's not the dog that's the issue as far as why they need to surrender or get rid of their dog. I just don't take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? The opportunity to really talk with your dog, communicate with your dog, and have that relationship established. Yes, dog training can get expensive. You know, and no knock on
That
nobody
was my
else.
next question.
But I do the math. You gonna have your dog maybe 7 to 12 years. I got a 12-year-old Doberman in Dallas. I spent $160 at the beginning of his life to do a training class. One class. And that 6-week class, you know, the things I learned from that trainer during that 6 weeks are still being used to this day 12 years later. So yeah, my prices, they can be what they are, you know, but for you to spend $200 on training, confidence building, somebody going to enrich you to help you get to your end goals with your dog that you're going to have for the next few years. You know, when you do the math when you go to McDonald's. And when
you say one class, you're not saying one session.
No, not one session.
You're saying like a course.
A course, you know, and even with, like I said, what I provide, you know, I might offer one-on-one sessions, but I offer bundles of 3, bundles of 5, aka buy 3 get 1 free, buy 5 get 1 free. But the fact that the money is what we're talking about. The money spent, and not so much about the knowledge covered. But if you spend that same money on fast food and just, you know, sneakers and stuff, 7 years from now you still have a bad dog.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So money, I would rather spend that $200 on an investment on the long-term health and comfort of this dog to get us to the goal we want, so I can have a dog that's going to be well trained for the rest of his life. And then, you know, the rest of the investments, as far as you still go to fast food and stuff later. So people, a lot of times I find, you know, they don't prioritize, I'll get them trained or I'll get them trained later. You can just spend that money now, get your dog taken care of, and then your dog will be solid for the rest of your life, as opposed to fixing things that could have been prevented. You know,
right. So fix it before it becomes a problem instead of waiting until it becomes a problem. I mean, it's just like investing in your child's education. You invested in a dog's education.
Yes, you took the word out. Took it out of my. I was just being honest though, because the people don't look at the dog as an investment. Even when people buy show dogs and high quality dogs bred from great breeders, you spend $1,500, $2,000 on the dog, but you're not willing to spend $200 on training.
Right.
So that's where we like to have a disconnect. You know, you want quality, but then you want the end results, but you don't want to put into work. So.
I don't think everybody understands the full scope of it. Because like you said, growing up, as a child growing up, I never thought you had to have a dog trained.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And my dad stayed with dogs. I think I've had probably like 4 or 5 dogs. I even had my own dog that had 9 puppies. You know what I'm saying? And me and my sister spent a whole summer training 9 puppies. Yeah. We had them all housebroken and everything. You know?
Good time.
You know, but I didn't look at it from the aspect of, you know, you don't know it till you know.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's an eye opener. And it's an educational piece that people need to horn in on, especially as pet owners.
But you know, even with us talking about networking, like your platform here, beautiful platform, opportunity to connect with entrepreneurs, but a thing that the dog world does, it opens the door for networking opportunities you would have never been privy to without a dog. So you being in the dog park, interacting with people that you would have never talked to. You would have never shook hands, rubbed elbows. Even myself as a dog trainer provider, you know, I'm in neighborhoods that I've never crossed, never went to. You know, $500,000 houses. And the reality is, with those folks just taking the time to connect with you in the dog world, now it opens the door for dialogue for what else do you provide? What other means of connections and opportunities you have? So
what else do you provide?
Oh, well, I mean, ironically, my logo here, we actually. I'm an artist as well, you know what I'm saying? I do art, you know, I'm a
graphic
barber.
Designs.
I'm a barber.
Okay.
You know, a little bit of everything, you know.
A jack of all trades.
I try to be. You know, busy hands create wealth, you know what I'm saying? You want to make sure you rocking and rolling, doing something to provide. I try to capitalize on all my skill sets. Like I said, I'm a self-taught barber. I taught myself how to cut hair through college. Fresh Cuts personal barber service all through college and a few other years outside of that. You know, dog training obviously a passion of mine, but you know, coaching, you know, private training. The list goes on. I mean, I do lawn care. I got some lawn care grind going too. I literally almost forget the grinds, and that's almost a good problem to have. You know what I'm saying? I try to keep myself busily engaged, but on my terms. I still got a 9 to 5 as far as a traditional job, but the goal is to be able to create my own pink slip to be able to serve that. But they say
the key to success is multiple streams of income.
Yes, and we all hear it.
You know?
Yeah, but then when you apply it, it's a joy. You know what I'm saying? I found myself in a rut trying to figure out why things weren't happening for me, and then identify, you know, take advantage of your own gifts. You know what I'm saying? And great decision to make. You know what I'm saying? Put yourself in a mental place of empowerment. So.
Because your mental stability is very important.
Truly is.
Very important.
And with the COVID job, you know, us going through this past year, you know, it really opportunity to reflect on mental health. You know what I'm saying? To realize to self-check yourself to see where you at and where you trying to, you know.
You think your animals helped you through that?
Honestly, yeah. And you know, it's kind of funny we say that, but like I look at my Nike Run app, you know, keep track of your distance and your overall mileage. And the last year, I've ran twice as much in the last year than I did the year before. And not that I wasn't running as far as being fitness and coach and moving and stuff, but you know, my dogs, you know, as they get older, you know, they're not running, but the young girl's still running. But overall, I've realized I've taken more outings and been able to embrace them in their golden years here. So,
you may have had more of that personal time.
yeah, and I never take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, they would have been at home. I'd have been coaching. I'd have been moving, and they would have been a dog walker too. Versus, you know, now we can just kick it in the house a little bit more over this past year. So, you know, I've been in a very good headspace being a new dad and all that stuff. So, you know, I try and stay safe, stay clean, and stay active and positive with my own business. So it's just you know, if anything, like I said, my dog helped me identify my own talent of saying, I got two old dogs here that's perfectly well behaved. Let me use them as a model, as a guide for my other clients. So I do actually take my dogs on sessions with me to show young dogs the way a little bit faster. So, you know, like a mentor.
And you also have videos of...
Yes, my Facebook page, RVA Dog Days. I have a YouTube page also, RVA Dog Days. But on there, I constantly update content, you know, different tips and tricks, results. You know, that's a real key one in the dog training business. I see a lot of folks are offering services, but can you show your results of your service?
Oh.
You know, and I do pride myself on having real world results and, you know, getting people to where they want to go, as opposed to it being, you know, I take your dog for a few weeks and then ta-da, now your dog fixed, but you don't know how the dog got fixed.
Right.
I respect the process, so I help folks get to that process.
So your process is actually walking them physically through how to get their dog there. Like, you even come to their dog's environment.
Most definitely.
To do it.
Something as simple as that. You know, me taking your dog in a PetSmart or a bigger book chain store, you know, it's a class environment, but it's a lot of different dogs, a lot of different breeds, a lot of different people, a lot of different noises going on. So your dog's chances to win are minimized in that space. Versus your dog learning, sit down, stay, wait, come, leave it in your living room. The chances for that dog to win and learn are a lot higher.
That's why they reside. So it's like, okay, well, you're teaching me this here, and this is where I'm going to be practicing it. So it's like, you know, a good scenario for the dog.
Most definitely.
100%.
And even like you just said though, I tell my folks all the time, you know, if you can't practice it in your house, you can't expect the dog to perform it outside.
Right.
That's where that frustration comes. You talking about being frustrated. I'm screaming at the dog, no, sit down, stay, come on. You haven't taken the time to practice that in your living room, and now you get out in public trying to act brand new. So, you know,
because you want to show off.
Keep that same energy, you know, in the living room.
So do you do on-leash and off-leash training?
Well, a mix of yes and no. You know what I'm saying? I don't come in and formally tell you I'm going to teach your dog how to do things off-leash, but I give you that relationship with the leash, that everything you're trying to get accomplished, you will be able to do it without the leash. You know, we build you up to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got folks that have dogs that have been working with me now for a year. We can comfortably drop the leash. The dog knows where to be. He knows how not to pass our invisible box of frustration that we put him in. And, you know, the dogs are real keen to following instructions. But that's not for us to just frivolously take for granted the dog's safety. I'm never here to prove a point. So I don't really promote off-leash stuff, because even with my own dogs, it's a very calm, confident moment for me to drop my leash. But I'd rather have my leash and be protected than drop my leash and then be proven wrong and the dog get hurt. So, you know, the goal is just to have an obedient dog that's willing to listen regardless of the leash, if that makes sense.
Right. So, to a new dog owner, what's the word of advice you would give them?
Patience. Yeah, patience above all else. But, you know, recognize the energy. The energy you keep is the energy that will repeat. You know, and I got a lot of little sayings and stuff, but sometimes we need those sayings to kind of jog our memory.
You need to put them on the shirt. Yeah, no.
Yeah. And I might have to do that. But the reality is, you know, what's worth your energy? You know, are you going to scream the dog out for chewing up your shoe? Or are you going to stop him in the moment and give him what you would rather him chew, and then take a second to take your ego out of it and take the emotion out of it and really praise that dog for doing what you would rather him be doing?
Right.
And that's going to get you in the right direction, man. I mean, Potty training is all a process, but recognizing that they gotta use the bathroom, use it to your advantage on those times and windows of when you need to, let the dog relieve himself. But above all else, man, have fun, make it positive. Recognize the dog don't know nothing, and he only does what you allow him to do. So, kind of step back and recognize if you've been having some shortcomings up to that point. To this point, give me a call. But if you still need some assistance, though, just recognize that every day is a new day, so you can start fresh. Maybe you've been frustrated up until this point, things haven't been working. Maybe a different method, different technique, a different voice will get you to that end goal you're looking for. So it's not so much about you, it's about the dog. And you move with that mentality, you'll get your results you're looking for.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you for coming.
Oh my God, it's been such a pleasure to meet. This is legit.
Well, we're definitely gonna be watching these videos and learning some things because we're gonna end up getting some dogs one day too.
Oh, most definitely.
When we waiting for the house though. But then we gonna,
It's all in order. Like I told you, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Making sure the situation you putting the dog in and go set him up for the win. It's gonna be good for y'all. You got a great spirit, so at the end of the day, you can be rocking and rolling in the right direction.
What about Yorkie?
With the Yorkie.
With the Yorkie.
The thug, not the gangster Yorkie.
Yeah, the one that fight everybody in the neighborhood.
No, we ain't do like that.
But no, thank you for coming.
No, it's been a joy. Thank you for having me. I look forward to, like I say, sharing RVA Dog Days. Get out.
Tink did not come to play with you hoes. I came to slay, bitch.